and welcome to another Lawn Fawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our stamp set Year 12 and its coordinating dies. So let's go ahead and check it out. This set has an adorable parrot with a cute little party hat. It has a tiny speech bubble and then some phrases that you can put in the speech bubble. So there's squawk and then happy bee day. And here you can see how well those little sentiments fit inside that speech bubble. This set also has a really fun sentiment, and it's apparently it's your birthday. It's such a fun and cute little pun. So let's go ahead and add some color to these cute images with some Copic markers. Now, the Year 12 stamp set is the 12th in a series of year stamp sets, and each of those celebrate Lawn Fawn's birthday, and we are so excited that we are on Year 12. We cannot believe it, and oh my goodness, it's thanks to you guys, so thank you so much. And so this cute little parrot is here to celebrate, and we're just coloring him in green, but what's really fun about the parrot is you can do him in a bunch of different bright tropical colors, and he looks just adorable. We're going to add some color to the party hat, and then just shade that little speech bubble with some gray. Now here are the coordinating dies, which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. We're going to line those up with our stamped images, hold them in place with some low-tack tape, and then we'll run it through the die cut machine and have some perfectly cut out images that are ready to put on the card. I just love this cute little party parrot and his fun little speech bubble. Now, first up, we're going to be creating a platform pop-up with this adorable set. So here are the platform pop-up dies, and if you've never made a platform pop-up before, make sure to check out the intro video. We'll link it in the description below. Here is the main base piece from the platform pop-up, and we've die cut that from some woodgrain cardstock, and we've die cut 2 of them. But before we start creating the platform pop-up, we're going to do some inking on all of our pieces because we're going to be creating a really cool pirate ship. And we are recreating a card by Tammy today that just wowed me so much, so thank you so much, Tammy. So here we have some walnut ink and a blender brush, and we're just going to blend onto all of the edges of the platform pop-up to give it kind of like a cool aged look. I'm even going to fold that fold there just so I can have some nice inking coming up from the bottom as well. Not all of this is going to be seen, but it was easier for me to just ink all the edges and make sure that I had nice inking everywhere to get a really cool pirate ship look. So once again, I'm going to ink all over. I'm going to fold along that fold just to have some nice inking coming up from the bottom. And you'll see that as we add this inking, it makes the wood grain stand out, and it really is going to give this cool old pirate ship vibes. So we're also going to be cutting from that same wood grain cardstock the hills that are included in the set and that little piece that's meant to be the bow, but we're going to be using it in a little bit of a different way. We also have 3 T-shaped pieces that are going to help us create this interactive die. And now I'm just going to ink the edges of these with the walnut ink. And honestly, the messier the better, the more it kind of looks like an old aged ship. So we're going to ink all 3 of those hills, and then we'll start working on the construction of our platform pop-up. So first we're going to take one of those main base pieces, we'll put the other one aside, and we're going to fold along all the score lines that the die has created for us. So we'll fold along all of those lines. You'll see there's some towards the top, and then going towards the bottom of the die we have some nice horizontal folds too. Once we have those all folded, we're going to take another one of those T-shaped pieces. And at the bottom of the T-shaped piece there's a little score line, and we're going to fold along that score line. Next up, we're going to take some 1/4-inch double-sided tape, and we're going to be adding that both to the main base piece and that cool little T. So we're going to add it on that very bottom tab, and then we're going to add it underneath the score line on the T-shaped piece. Next, we're going to take that main base piece and we're going to flip it over so we're looking at the inside, the part that doesn't have the wood grain texture or the inking. We're going to take our T-shaped piece, flip it over, and put it right through that slot, just like that. Next, we're going to just bend that piece back and peel up the liner paper, exposing that adhesive. Then we're going to fold along that first big fold right there. And as we fold along that fold, we're going to pull on that tab, and you'll see that it's going to be nice and flush against that edge, and then we can push right down. Then we're going to peel up the liner paper that's on that next tab, and then we're going to fold along that second big score line. Then we'll fold that tab under and attach it down. So you'll see we're going to fold along that second big score line, fold that tab under, and attach it down. And now we're going to have this cool 3-dimensional piece. Now we're going to repeat the same thing with the other base piece. So we're going to fold along all of those score lines. So there's those vertical lines, and then there's all of those horizontal lines. And we're going to fold along all of those, making sure they're nice and creased well. Then we're going to take the second T-shaped piece, and we're going to fold along that score line at the bottom. We're going to take out our 1/4-inch double-sided tape again, and we're going to add some tape to that bottom tab and underneath the score line there on that T-shaped piece. Then we're going to flip over that main piece, flip over the T, and we're going to feed it through the slot. Then we're going to go ahead and fold along that first big score line. We're going to peel up the liner paper, and we're going to pull that T-shaped piece so that it's nice and flush against that edge. And that means it's in perfect placement so we can press down and secure it really well. Then we'll peel up the liner paper on the next tab, and we're going to fold along that next big score line, that second score line. And we fold along that score line, it's going to tell us the perfect placement for the next adhesive. So we're going to fold up, tuck in that tab, and press right down. And now we're going to have a second three-dimensional piece, and it's going to match the other one exactly. Now next up, you'll see there's little tabs on the right-hand side. We're going to take our 1/4-inch tape and we're going to add it to the outside of those tabs on both of the pieces. Next, we're going to be pushing these pieces together to create one long piece. So we're going to peel up the liner paper on one of the tabs, and then we're going to take these two, and you'll see I'm just going to kind of like butt them up against each other, flat against my surface. And that's going to make sure that they're nice and lined up. Then once they're lined up, I can push down on that tab and secure them, creating one long piece. Next, we're going to take that third T-shaped piece. We're going to fold along that score line again, but this time we're going to take some scissors and just trim that right off. And no one's going to see this part, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You'll see mine's kind of crooked. That's okay. I'm just going to trim it right off. And then we're going to flip this piece over, and we're going to add a piece of tape on that kind of vertical part of the T, just like that. Not along the horizontal part, just the vertical part. Then we can peel up that liner paper, and we're going to attach it to one of the sides of the platform pop-up. And I'm just going to visually look and line it up with the one that's already inserted into the three-dimensional piece. And then I can just press down and put that right on there. And eyeballing this works just fine. Then we're going to take that same 1/4-inch double-sided tape and we're going to add it to the other side, the one that doesn't have that second T-shaped piece. And I always like to put 3 pieces just so that I make sure it's nice and secure. We'll peel up the liner paper on all 3 of those pieces, and we're going to fold this whole thing in half so that those 2 pieces line up. So you'll see how they're lining up there, and we're going to press down and secure it. Then once we have that nice and secure, we have one more tab with some adhesive on it. So we're going to peel that up. And what we're going to do is just tuck that tab in and just press down. Everything's lining up perfectly, so it's going to look super great. I'm just going to tuck it in and just press right down. And now our mechanism has been created. So we're going to push up from the bottom, and how cool is that? Now we have this cool little 3-dimensional platform that's going to be our ship that we're going to decorate. So remember those 3 little hills that we inked at the beginning? This little hill is included in the platform pop-up die. We're going to flip those over to the back, and we're going to add some 1/8-inch double-sided adhesive along the very bottom. So the little 1/8-inch tape is going to go at the back and bottom of the hills. And then we're going to be able to attach those into the box. So we'll peel up that liner paper, and now these are the perfect size to line right over top of those T's. So I'm just going to line it right up and attach it down. And that's why we have that nice thin adhesive on the back, so that way there's no extra adhesive poking out anywhere, and your box is going to work really well. So we're going to add in all of these hills, and then we're going to start working on decorating the front of our ship. So to do that, we're going to use those little rectangular pieces. These are meant to be kind of the ribbon of a bow wrapped around the box, but we're going to use them in a little bit of a different way. So the die creates this little fold line for you that's going to have it exactly line up with the folds of the platform pop-up. We're going to add some adhesive to that and layer it on. I always like to layer one on, and then I'm able to just line up the second one with it, and that way it's going to look perfect, just like it's exactly wrapping around our ship. But now this time, instead of adding that die cut bow, we're going to add some cool little portholes to our ship. And we're going to use some stitch circles and plain circles to do this. And the tiny little circles that are in this set are perfect for fun details like this. So we have some cut out of sticky note cardstock and some cut out of our ground coffee cardstock. I'm just going to ink these little die cut pieces just a little bit with just what's left over on my brush, just because they seemed a little bit too perfect for my nice and aged ship. Then we'll add some liquid glue in the center with the glue tube, and then we're going to layer on those dark brown little circles in the center just to create this cool look of an old pirate ship. Then we can add some tape runner to the back and layer them onto the ship. So I like to start with the one in the center. That's going to cover up that little seam, and then we can build out from there. So we'll add that one and then the ones on either side. And it's kind of easier to just flatten out your little pirate ship platform pop-up there. It makes it easier to just attach them on. So I'm going to flatten it out and attach all 3, and you can start to see this pirate ship starting to form. But of course, it needs a sail, right? So that's the next thing we're going to create. So here I have a piece of white cardstock that's 5.5 by 4.25, and we're going to be using one of our awesome stencils. And this is the skinny stripe stencil. And the stencil has a horizontal / vertical and a diagonal. And we're going to be using the diagonal to create our sail. So I've put some pixie dust spray on the back that gives it some nice tackiness, and I'm also going to hold it in place with my magnets. And then we're using some lobster ink, which is a nice bright red, and we're going to ink along all of this stencil, creating a red and white stripe sail. And that's why I love these skinny stripe stencils, because it helps me recreate a nice basic stripe that's perfect, especially for something like this where I needed a custom red and white pattern. And now we're at my favorite part of stenciling, which is the big reveal. So we're going to peel up that stencil and you can see how cool that bright red and white pattern looks. Now to create the sail, what we're going to do is we're going to use a stitched rectangle die, and that's the second in the small set of stitched rectangles, and we're going to just go ahead and die cut this pattern. You'll see I kind of stenciled in a bigger one than what I needed because I wasn't sure exactly the size. Then to create the look of the sail, we're going to use some circle dies. So I kind of went through my circle dies to see what was about the right size, and we're going to be trimming off either side of this to create the look of a sail. So I'm going to line that up and run it through the die cut machine, and that's going to give me one curved edge. I'm going to save that little extra piece, and then I'm just going to use it as a guide to create an equal side on the other end. So I'm going to line that right up there and then line up my die right with that. And then I can just remove that little excess piece and hold it in place with some low tack tape and then run that through the die cut machine. And now I have this really cool custom sail for my pirate ship. Now to create kind of is it the mast? I'm not sure. I don't know a lot of ship knowledge, but to create the piece that's holding up the sail, we're just going to trim some of that same dark brown cardstock to a 1/4 inch width piece. And then we're going to take another little circle die and we're going to die cut that at the same color cardstock and put it at the very top for a little detail. Then we can add some tape runner to the back of the sail and we can attach the sail right on there. And this is already looking so cool. So here you're going to see that it's really tall. It's a little too tall for my ship, but I was like, I'm going to make it tall and I can trim it later. But at this point I realized I needed to add my characters into the ship first to kind of see how tall this sail needed to be. So of course, we're going to take some adorable little parrots from the year 12 set, and we're going to combine it with one of my favorite sets. I just love this Ahoy Matey set so much. It's so cute. It has these cute little pirates. And so we're going to stamp, color, and die cut a bunch of images from this. And I have to say that Rebecca colored these images and they turned out gorgeous. So thank you so much, Rebecca. They're just beautiful. So now we'll start to add these images into the pirate ship. And the really cool way to get a lot of dimension with platform pop-ups is to put images at the different levels. So we're going to have some on that second hill and some on the front hill. So we've got the cute little gold coins and the diamond and our little pirate girl with her map. And then we have our other pirate in the back with the treasure chest. We'll add another little diamond in there and then a parrot right on top of the treasure chest. Now right here is where I got to the point of creating the sail. And you can see I trimmed off a little bit. It was still too tall, so I'm going to trim off a little bit more. I just kind of went nice and slow with this until it became the perfect height. We'll add a little tape runner to the bottom, and then we're going to attach that to the back of the hill in the back. So just like that. Now, next, we wanted to add in some floating images. So we're going to take some acetate and we're going to cut it to a 1/4 inch thick. And this is a nice long strip because I wasn't sure exactly how tall it needed to be, kind of like the pirate ship sail. So we're going to add some tape runner to the top of that piece and we're going to attach the cute little bird. And then we'll trim off any of the excess, add a little tape runner to the bottom, and then we're going to attach that to the back of the second hill. And we're going to have a little bird that's kind of floating a little bit more, almost like he's almost just kind of floating in the air there, flying up to the other bird. Then we're going to add a little tape runner again to the top of another strip. We're going to trim that one down, and that's going to have the little speech bubble from the set. So that bird is going to be saying happy B-Day. So here you'll see we're going to attach that once again to the back of that hill. And we're going to have this really cool floating element that's going to add a ton of dimension to the card. Now, right now, my pirate ship sail was kind of just flopping around a little bit too much. So I cut another hill, and I'm going to layer that hill on the back. So we're kind of sandwiching that whole piece in the middle, and this is going to give it a ton of stability. And so anytime you add something really tall, that's a really good way to get a little bit more stability onto the card. So there we go. We've got that all nice and settled. And then we're going to create the rest of the sentiment for the card. So we're going to die cut that wavy banner there. We're going to prep it with an anti-static tool. And then we're going to stamp that really cute, apparently it's your birthday. We're going to curve the stamp and stamp that right onto that wavy banner in some clear embossing ink. Then we can sprinkle on some white heat embossing powder. We'll tap off any of the excess, and then we're going to heat it up with the heat tool, and we'll have a nice bright white shiny sentiment. Then we're just going to add some adhesive to the back of that sentiment, and we're going to be able to add it to the sail, kind of up towards the top. And I feel like once you add that sentiment, it just ties the whole card in together. So we're just going to attach that right there, just like that. And now our awesome pirate ship platform pop-up is done. So here it is folded, and as you push it from the bottom, you can see the whole treasure kind of appear, and this really cool pirate ship start to form. So, oh my goodness, Tammy, you created just the coolest card. This was so much fun to make. I especially loved creating my own custom sail. It's just so cute and so much fun. It just has so much dimension to it. So here it is again, flat, and as you push up from the bottom, you get this really, really cute scene. Oh, I love it so much. So next up, Shari is creating an adorable birthday card with these fun Year 12 parrots. So take it away, Shari.
So I'm making a birthday card today using Year 12, and I've already colored and cut out 3 of those parrots and 1 of the little speech bubble in this set. I'm starting out with some really rainbow pattern paper, and I'm going to be using that one that is red with red stripes, so we have that nice tone-on-tone stripe. And I've cut it out with an outside-in stitch rectangle. And then I've taken a piece of black cardstock and cut it slightly larger so I can layer these 2 pieces together, and I'm going to get a nice thin black frame around it. This is going to be the panel where my little parrots sit, but before I glue that to my card base, I want to make a custom background with some text. So I'm using the Critter Chatter Pets stamp set because there's a bunch of stamps in here that have words like tweet and squawk and chirp and bird words, bird talk. And I'm going around with some celery stick ink, and I'm just stamping those words around to create my own custom background with text. So I basically picked one to start with, which was the tweet, and then I'm picking another one. I've got squawk there, and then now I'm going to pick a smaller one and sort of fill in. And I'm not concerned about the center at all because that's going to get covered up. I'm really more concerned about taking these stamps, turning them different directions, making them go off the side of the card base so it looks like I had a piece of pattern paper that I cut down. And there is also a little squawk stamp in the Year 12 stamp set. So I will use that to fill in all the really tiny areas that the stamps in the Critter Chatter set don't really fit in. So once I have that all filled in, I'm going to add some foam tape to the back of my panel and just center that up in the middle of my card. And you can see that's really fun with those words peeking out from behind that and then going off the side of the card base. Now I'm also going to stamp the little stamp in this set that says Happy B-Day in the speech bubble that I cut out earlier. And then of course the sentiment that says apparently it's your birthday. Now this sentiment banner is a little longer than I wanted, so I'm going to stamp it to the left side. And then I can take my die that I used to cut the sentiment banner out, line it up, and hold it in place with some tape, and that will just trim off the end, so I end up with a shorter banner. I've put some foam squares on the back of this, and I'm just going to center it up towards the bottom of my pattern paper piece. And then for the birds, I'm going to add some foam squares to them, starting with the yellow one in the middle. And I didn't want them in a perfect line, so the blue one and the green one are going to be kind of a little bit higher than the yellow one. And then I also have a little foam square on my speech bubble. And then I decided to fill in a little bit more using the smallest heart from the Skinny Tag with Hearts and Stars die set. Just cut these from some black cardstock, and I'm just adding 3 of those to kind of sprinkle around and fill in around those birds. And then finally, I'm going to embellish with a little bit of glitter. I'm doing just some of the stripes on their hats, and then I'll also do the little black hearts. And then here is my finished card with that cute little parrot from year 12 and that punny sentiment. And I really think it was fun to pair that up and make a background with that Critter Chatter Pets stamp set.
Card is so much fun, Shari, and that Critter Chatter stamp set is one of my favorites, and I love that custom background you created. And next up, we have some gorgeous cards by the design team. And first up, this card by Mindy is so sweet. I love how she brought in those awesome die-cut palm trees. This card by Elise is so cute. I love how she created a custom sentiment using Henry's ABCs. Next up, Megan combined year 12 with our Two Can Do It and Wild For You sets, and I love this mini slimline card so much. Grace got super creative and she created a pineapple from the awesome Outside In Stitch strawberry die, and it creates the perfect background for these parrots on this adorable platform pop-up card. I just love how Letitia used the awesome Tropical Leaves Magic Iris add-on for a perfect place for her cute little parrot to hang out. And then last but not least, we have the amazing card by Tammy that inspired us to make ours today. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with year 12, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!